Welcome for those that are coming on in. I said I was going to start this live 5 minutes early because I just wanted to make sure I got to invite my guest in, as well as do my blurb. So if for those that are coming on in, if you could do your daily heart me, that'd be great. Or you could do double taps of hearts. You could share, if you feel comfortable, provide gifts, and then subscribing is another option. And so the rest of the panel should be coming in around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So hello to everybody. And we will be doing where I'll just go through each of the guests to introduce themselves, and I'll just be calling on each of the guests to speak at different times, just to make the most of our times together. But I think I asked, who did I ask to also? Oh, Melissa, that's right. So if anybody sees Melissa, let me know, because I requested if Melissa could also serve as a moderator today. And as a reminder, to my moderators who are here today, just as you're seeing if you see anything within the chat that is uncaring or disrespectful, or anything of that nature to anyone, if you could go ahead and mute the individuals that choose to engage in that manner, that would be something I would really appreciate, unless you find the words even more egregious than just being unkind, that is block worthy. You have the power to do that as well. So I'm just going to continue to wait for folks to come on in for this part. Good evening, folks. I'm trying to wait for the folks that I'm trying to have here tonight. Tess says, hi, what are we talking about today? Today we're talking to 4 guests, and they're going to just share how they got into the Lukola fandom, and just how they have decided to run their own platforms. And as a reminder, people are speaking from the I statement. They're not speaking in any other terms. Melissa, is this you, Melissa? Because you looked like did you change your icon, Melissa? Okay, I think you did. Because I was like, is this you? Okay. So confirm. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a sub, so I know it's you. But I was just thrown off by the change in change, and I was like, is that you? Hi, all.
You know, it's so funny. I didn't notice until you made me a moderator last night just how much TikTok filters in like the comments.
I know, right? I was like, what is happening?
It's
like,
so...
I literally am not trying to filter.
Yeah.
Hello.
Ho, hey.
What's up?
So I'm trying to just look and wait for the rest to come on in. Yeah, I never used to filter. That's why Rena, I'm wondering if I accidentally hit something that's causing that. Because I definitely did not mean to do that at all. At all. So, hi, folks. We're just waiting for oh, there we go. Invite. Did I hit that right? Okay, perfect. So now we're just waiting for Angela as the instigator, and then we should all be good. So if anybody sees Angela, please let me know. Hi.
Oh my goodness. I'm playing with filters right now.
Are you playing with filters? All right. Oh, Stephanie, that's awesome. She said all my fave creators on one live. Holy cow.
Aww.
That's so kind.
How do I shut this off? Oh, there we go.
Okay, so let's wait just a little bit longer
Hi, Caroline.
to
Hi.
get to see Angela. Has anyone seen Angela?
She was on earlier.
Yeah, and I know she's planning to be on here. I just want to wait just a mere mere moment. Oh, y'alls are kind. Thank you.
Oh,
Folks are checking out. Kels Bell says, "Look at all these pretty ladies." Oh,
It's a good thing my camera's not on because I look like a love right now, yo.
So I'm not gonna lie.
I saw her whole post and she's like all dolled up and I was like, yeah, no, absolutely not.
Ronnie, listen. So funniest thing, my sister-in-law pops into my lives every once in a while, and so I called her right after I finished my live last night, and she was like, she goes, Heather, when are you gonna get your hair done? I was like, what? It was like before school starts. She's like, yeah, but you don't want to like cover your braids. You're on live like every night, and I said, I don't care. Okay. So then tonight I was like, let me just do some makeup.
well, and you know what? Honestly, well, the thing I love about TikTok is people really typically don't care. They just want people who just, I mean, it's not Instagram, you know.
Yeah,
It's not,
absolutely.
you know. So that's part of the appeal for me personally. So thank y'all's first and foremost. I just want to express just my great gratitude for your willingness to all join this live together, and just I have a great deal of respect for all of y'all's. And so how it's going to work is just due to the timing and all these different things. I'm just going to go through each person. Oh, and also there's a feedback. Is there any way to? Okay, thank you. So we're going to go around, and people are going to share. I'll just call on people, and then there's just a few questions I have specifically for y'all before we can go to the actual chat and see what people are asking that they might have for y'all's.
Okay.
So we'll start with Roni, and the question for all of y'all's is, how did you get into the Lukola fandom? What brought you in, and what has kept you here, I guess? And we'll start with you, Roni.
All right. Well, I mean, I started watching Bridgerton from the start with like during the I was about to say the panini, but the pandemic. That's a whole other meaning now. Yeah, during the pandemic, and then honestly, I was kind of like a surface fan. I was just kind of around the periphery, and then the damn press tour happened. And like I mentioned in a previous live, like I fully admit, like I'm a slightly jaded individual, so their light was just so bright that I was just a moth to the flame, in all honesty. So, and just seeing how the fandom just kind of rallied around that, and I knew that it was something special, and that I had to just kind of watch a little bit more carefully, because I do feel like this is a once in a, maybe not a lifetime, but it feels like it's a once in a lifetime thing. So that's how I'm here.
Thank you. Ho-Ho, do you want to be called Ho-Ho, or do you want to be called Heather?
You can call me Heather.
Okay. Heather.
It doesn't matter either way. Ho-Ho became like a random nickname, and so my nieces and nephews call me Ho-Ho. But you can call me Ho-Ho, you can call me Heather. It doesn't matter either way. So it's kind of the same as what Ronnie said. You know, I had watched season 1 and season 2, and I was pretty excited for, you know, the pollen season, but I wasn't like in the fandom, right? Like I just watched the show for what it was, and you know, I was excited to see the 3rd season and see them, but it certainly didn't have the fervor that it has now. And I started seeing like little interviews pop out here and there. And I had TikTok, but I never posted anything on my TikTok. I was just more on and browsing. And I think where I really kicked off was like my TikTok was after New York. And I had seen the other interviews, but I was going back and I was watching like when they were all in the crowd. And actually you'll probably see it's like the second video I ever did. And it's him, and he kind of like turns, and you can see that he is seeking her hand out with his hand without like being obvious. And then he turns around and grabs her hand, kind of taps it and holds it and squeezes it. And I was like, what in the holy hell is going on between these two? And I remember, like, it was from that moment that I was like, I need to know more about this. Because I feel that's not a normal behavior for two co-stars. And then the more interviews I started watching, the more deranged I became. And I was like, what is happening right now? Like, does nobody else see this? And then, so then I started, and then I had popped into your live, which is funny because,
Nice.
yeah, so I had the only people that I was seeing, the content stuff I was seeing were Tiff and Mia. And they were like the first two like really launched it for me. And I was like, holy crap, like these two know everything. Like they have all the juice. And so I was watching that, and then I popped into your live and accidentally ended up going live with you. Do you remember that?
That was the first time you ever went.
Yes.
And I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, oh.
And neither did I. Like my screen popped up and I was like, oh my God, why is my face on this right now? And yeah, and then I was like, I did another one. I did a live by myself, and I had like 12 people in there. And where it really took off was I did the video from the London premiere where Golda's like staring at him. That video got like 4.5 million views.
Oh, wow. Dang.
I posted it, and like 3 hours later, I already was at 1 million.
Wow,
and I was
that
like,
is
oh my
fast.
God. And from there, like my follower count grew. So then the more lives, like I started doing more lives, I had more people. And now I feel like I'm addicted. My daughter's like, are you doing another live?
I love that. How about you, Caroline? How did you get into Lukola, the Lukola fandom?
Oh gosh, that's a long story, but basically, so between 2018 and 2019, 6 people very close to me passed away, including my father and my sister, both very suddenly. And in 2019, we moved my mom out of my childhood home and out to live near us. And in 2020, I was at maybe the lowest point of my life. After all of this, I was having some health problems. And things were still pretty shut down here. So when it came out, I thought to myself, oh, look at this. It looks like a Jane Austen show. It was not. It was not. It was much spicier. And I much appreciated it. It came at the right time in my life. It's also a special period for me because that was when things started to turn around in my own life for my husband and I, and we had made the decision to adopt. And so it's kind of cool because Bridgerton seems to have coincided with like interesting periods in my life. So anyway, I have very fond memories of the Duke and I, that whole season 1. And then if I'm being honest with you guys, and I don't want to offend any Canthony people, but I wasn't quite as engaged in that story, and there's no hate to them. I think they both did a beautiful job. It just wasn't resonating with me. And then when I found out that Pollen was moved up, I was like, oh, because I knew that they were going to be the friends to lovers story, which is the story my husband and I had. And we've been together 22 years and married for 14 of them. And so I was like very excited to see this. I knew Nicola Coughlan from Derry Girls, and I really loved her as, Whistledown and Penelope in the show. And then, it's interesting because I don't think I started watching much of the press tour footage until after part 1 premiered. And I already had a little bit of a TikTok presence going here, but it's funny because I have very niche interests. So up until this, I was mostly doing, I did some baby product reviews, mostly because when I was doing my baby registry, I had a really hard time picking things out. So I wanted to help people. And then I ended up doing a bunch of sister wives videos, which is my other like weird niche interest. And there's only, I think I had a couple hundred followers up until that point because it's such a niche thing. Like, I don't think that many people watch it, to be honest with you. So then I started making some videos. Actually, I was really late to the game. I feel like you were already doing videos at that point, Bachi. I think you might have been doing some videos too, Angela. Like, I think you guys were ahead of me. Because honestly, what started me coming on and doing videos was when people were attacking Luke Newton. And I felt like maybe they would end up off of Instagram. And I was like, oh no, like that would really be tragic if Luke and Lukola were off of Instagram. And just like the degree of unkindness that I was kind of seeing, because I think it was like a whole ice bucket over our head when the season 3 part 2 premiere happened. Like the whole Papgate thing, I think definitely was an ice bucket over the Lukola fandom. But I felt like the reaction was it was such a knee-jerk kind of like reversal of how everyone had been toward both of them, like throughout the whole premiere and the season. And so ultimately I had been lurking for a long time and watching content, but I just wasn't creating content because I felt like there were lots of content creators out there doing a good job of that. And then when I started making videos about this, I don't know, people, they liked whatever I said, I guess. I don't really know. Part of this whole thing has been a surprise to me because I think my count has gone up like 4,000 or 5,000 people in the last like few weeks. And
Oh, that's good.
yeah,
It's a
and
good
it's
pace.
not, it's both a nice surprise but also very unintentional. So I think I've just been trying to like make it up as I go along. I don't know.
Well, those are the best kinds when it is unexpected. How about you, Angelo? How did you get into the Lukola fandom?
So I guess I could start back with Bridgerton, how I got introduced to the show. It had already been released. I hadn't heard nothing about it. I was kind of like living in my own little world. I had a baby at the time and a toddler. So I was just like in toddler baby world. So I have a friend who we went to high school together, and in our AP Lit class, we read Pride and Prejudice. And so we've continued to like have an obsession with that book and like anything surrounding it and anything like Regency era, anything like that. And so she messaged me and she's like, hey, I think you might like this show, Bridgerton. Check it out. And I was like, brushed it off, obviously. But then I got some time and I was like, okay, I'll just give it one episode and see how I feel. And then I watched the first episode and then I binged the whole season one night. I did not sleep. And I was like, oh, they made this show for me. Like, that's how I really felt. Like, I really felt like it was made for all of my weird interests all combined in one. So I always loved the show, but I never cared that much about the stars. I just was into the show. And so then, season 2 came. I really liked it. I would tell everybody, like, watch it. I would talk about it a lot, but not in a Delulu way like I am, or like obsessive way. And then when the picture of Luke and Nick dropped at the restaurant, I was like, oh, okay, they're dating, right? And so I just like walked through life thinking that they were a couple. And then as more stuff started coming out leading up to season 3, and I started finding out like they're not really a couple, I was like, wait, what's going on here? And so obviously, I watched season 3. I got really into it, but I didn't have anybody to like talk to about it, except for my one friend who got me into it, and she hated season 3, you guys.
Oh,
She hated it, and she was like bashing it, and she was like paragraphs of things that she was texting to me, and I had the opposite feeling. And so I was like, okay, now I literally have no one to talk to about this, because my sister refuses to watch it because she's like, I don't like smut. Literally, that's her quote. My mom said, I don't want to see any more butts. Quote. So I can't get, and my other friends, they just like don't really watch TV that much. So then I was like, okay, I had a TikTok for like a few years. But I would just post like random stuff. Like I'm pretty random, just like whatever I log on, and like if there's a trend or if I just think of a random thing and I want to post it, or I play The Sims. And so I would sometimes post like my Sims stuff, just like trying to connect with other Sims players. And I can't even remember exactly what the one thing was where I posted my first Bridgerton video. Honestly, I don't even know. If anybody knows, please tell me, because I have no idea what it was. But I just started posting like just things that I liked and seeing if other people liked it and just trying to start conversations with other like-minded people. And then as far as going live and things like that, like I never really was like into that, or I never tried it. And one day, Bachi, like you were asking in your comments.
Basically, what y'all are telling me that both Heather and Angela, y'all got into lives because you went on live on mine. That's all your fault.
Yep, you dragged us in. I had been like visiting other. I would go to Mia's live, like, and whenever I could, I would go to yours. I would go to the Shipper sometimes, but I never like did a voice anything. But I would comment, and I was just like fast with my fingers, like I have a lot to say. I'm gonna talk, get my opinions out there. But then when you invited me in, I forgot what the topic was, but you were asking a question, and you were like, "Does anybody have something to say about this?" And I came in and like gave my opinion, and it was some Lukola something.
Yes, I need to jog my own memory. I was gonna upload both of y'all's, Heather's and yours, but like I got so behind on uploading, and then they deleted it already, so I could never upload it anymore.
Well,
so I can't even jog my own memory now.
Right, and I just remember being like, "Wow, that was really fun to like talk about somebody who cares about this as much as me." You know what I mean? And so that's been my angle with still continuing to post. It's like I just want to find people who care about this as much as I do, and that's where I stay.
Well, you know what? Speaking about going live with someone, I don't know if I'm the first person that Roni went live with, because Roni, once you hit 1,000 followers and you can do a live, like hopefully I'll be like, was I the first person you went live with, Roni?
Well, yeah, I haven't, I didn't start like posting stuff to TikTok until we did our live. And, I mean, for those that don't know, like I had messaged Phoebe basically just expressing concern because there was 1 week where everyone was just spiraling. Like the fandom in general was just like, it was. Is
it me? Am I frozen?
Yes, your video frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen.
There you are.
Was I frozen for a second there?
For a second, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I just got concerned for the mainly the community that Phoebe was really trying to build. And like I had been kind of just touching base just on the peripheral on a lot of different creators, because I don't do specific Bridgerton or Lukola edits or anything like that, or like content specifically to them. I do kind of peripheral, just general fandom commentary, because that's what I've been doing since 2014. So I created a blog and a community with a group of my girlfriends called Nerdy Curious, and we were very, very active until about 2021 maybe. And life just happened, and so we took a pause. But my whole thing was observing fandom, the different stages of fandom, how to be healthy within a fandom, and seeing the parallels and how fandom intersects with our reality and our day-to-day society, because there's just a lot of commonalities with how things just kind of bleed over and how we talk about it. And so was our first conversation, where we were just kind of dissecting on how to just keep a healthy fandom, and for content creators to also just kind of have like a healthy environment for themselves and creating boundaries for themselves so that they don't get dragged into the filth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody had asked like why your camera wasn't on. So the reason is because apparently you have to have 1,000 followers before you can turn it on. Is that what you said, Ronnie?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so that's the reason. Ronnie is such a worthy follow. Like, so if folks are not following Ronnie yet, I just encourage that. So one of the things that I want to say as we go into the next portion of the conversation, and before we open it up for people's Q&A, it's just I'll share my own take. So I had said this in a story, which is when someone had asked me, if I create an account, what's your advice? And I had said, decide for yourself what you will or will not do to gain followers, and know who you are. Mm-hmm. And so one of the biggest things for me, as you all know, and I said that this live was going to be different because everybody has different parameters, different boundaries, different decisions that they've made for themselves. And I wasn't going to put the same boundaries or parameters in this particular live because I know y'all have made different decisions around the conversation around adjacents. I will explain why I made the decision I did personally. So originally there were conversation about adjacents when it first happened. I got sucked into all of that as well. But what had started happening is I felt like there was a lot of negativity in the chat, and people were starting to, it just wasn't an environment that was feeling healthy personally for me. And it was to the point where I was like, well, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for this. And it just comes down to that. I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth for it. Earlier on, I may have to be like able to like continually engage, but it was just such a cascading thing. And so when I started feeling emotionally drained and I felt the joy of getting sucked out of the experience, I was like, this is too much for me. Now, what I encourage other people to do, because I knew like, okay, that's why I said I'm not the content creator for everyone. I was like, there's other places that people can get that fix, like they can get that content that they're looking for. So I'm like, just as long as people know that there's other content creators they can go to, that's all I really care about. Like, I don't need people to follow me. I don't need people to enjoy my content. If they don't like my content, they don't have to be here. They can choose other content creators. And I chose specifically the 4 of y'all's because I have a deep respect for each of you. And I know that y'all handle things differently, but it all comes from who you are as people and what your own bandwidth is, and and also your humor or your playfulness or whatever it might be that brings out like how you can engage with it. There are times, like for me, I do think that I would probably feel more comfortable in the future having conversations about adjacent stuff in the future if need be, but like in my subscriber base, because at that point it's just a smaller group of people. And so I feel like it's the folks that end up subscribing to me usually understand where I'm coming from and are respectful of those boundaries. And plus I can be a little bit more freer than I feel like in larger spaces. Corgi, that's my favorite. Like, that is literally my favorite gift, a corgi with a little butt shaking. That's so cute. Okay. But
thank you.
So my question, oh my word, dang, 307. Oh my word. But anyways, is this another corgi? Okay. Are y'all having competitions over here? What is happening over here?
Who is this?
I
Who
don't
are you,
know,
Jen? Show yourself.
But anyways, so I really just wanted to have an opportunity for y'all to just share a little bit of your own journey of how you've decided things for yourself. And I want to be very clear, because I want to be very clear in this moment that I genuinely am only asking this for yourself and nothing else, nothing beyond yourself. And so for you, we'll start with you, Angela. how did you decide to go, this is what I'm going to be talking about. Here are my parameters. Here's the community I want to build. Like, what was your thought process in all of that?
Honestly, because of the way that I create content, which is random, like I literally just think a thought and then I'm gonna post that. You know what I mean? Or make a video about it or whatever. I didn't have a thought ahead of time about what my guidelines were. It wasn't a forethought. But as I got in this fandom and more things started happening and people started saying more things, I started drawing a line around what I was cool with and what I wasn't cool with. And I think for me, I don't say the names of Luke's friends just because I don't know anything about them other than what I hear from everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with conversations about them. And then, I created the Discord as a place to like kind of move the conversation from here to somewhere else where everybody felt more engaged, because as I said before, like my whole point was to find more like-minded people who I could like have conversations with. So I love the Discord because we have a non-stop conversation that's going on. It's probably going on right now. And it's a place where we can like video chat and talk to each other. But in that space, I realized that I want it to be fun and light and silly. We do get a little messy, but never mean. And I think that's a fine line, but that's my motto with anything that I do. I'll be messy. I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to say anything hurtful. I'm not going to go post on other people's pages and say mean things on their comments. And that's just kind of what I tell myself in my head. Messy, but never mean, if that makes sense. Did I answer your question?
I mean, that's a tagline, right? Messy but never mean.
Yeah.
You did.
Okay.
Caroline,
Right.
how about you?
So it's interesting because this has been a learning experience for me. As I mentioned, I've never had more than a couple hundred followers before, and most of the content that I was posting, I have to say the Sister Wives crew, like when I post things, we pretty much are all in agreement on things. Because of the way that show runs. But anyway, so I have a couple of different tenets I try to live by. So the first thing is I really try to give people grace wherever I can. And I think part of that is just from like lived experience. And part of it comes from the fact that real people are messy. Like, it's just, there's no way around it. Human beings are messy. It's part of the human condition. And it's funny because I watch, a lot of the shows I watch tend to be like, I tend to like comedies and dramas. And so like I was a big fan for years and years of Gilmore Girls. And so many people told me that they couldn't get into the show because the characters made really dumb mistakes. And I was like, I don't know. I think that makes me love them a little more because that's what people are like. Like, I wish I could say that all people made good choices at all times. But they don't. And realistically speaking, the best loves that I've seen in my life and that I've witnessed often are not like a direct path, right? They're kind of earned. And when loves are earned, it gets messy on the way there, if that makes sense. And so, for me, I do talk about a lot of different things, but there are a couple of boundaries I have set for myself. So I almost just completely dropped off the app a week or two ago. And it was about, so first of all, I started getting personally attacked on the app. And that was tough because I haven't experienced that before. And it actually made me have even more empathy, I think, for what Luke has been going through, because it definitely made me realize what it's like to have strangers on the internet just attacking you, right? Just for being yourself. And that was hard. And so the first set of boundaries I ended up putting up is most of my Lukola posts are now friends only. And so people have to basically drop a comment to me or send me. It's really actually better if they just send me a DM, because if they put it in the comments, I have to try to go back through and sometimes there's a lot of them. But if they do that, then a lot of my videos have been set to friends only. And that way we don't have, because there's just a lot of like Lukola haters out there, or people who are just making comments about like who ships celebrities in real life. And I'm like, this has never been me before. I've never shipped a celebrity couple in real life before. But this tour was unhinged, and I can see so much in their relationship, so many similarities to the relationship my husband and I had when we were quote unquote just friends. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is actually really the reason I thought about going off the app completely. For some reason, people who are like anti-Lukola folks have a tendency to get into really icky territory comparing the bodies of the women. So comparing Nicola's body to his purported girlfriend's body. And I did share a little bit about this, but my late sister had an eating disorder. And I carry that with me on a daily basis because I feel like all people have challenges with their bodies. I've never met somebody who's confident in every part of their body. I think society sends women such awful messages about their body. And I think we don't need to tear either person down in order to compare the situation, right? I would have to hope that Luke Newton, just like most men, has more depth to him, where he's not literally just looking at a person's physical body. Based on the women he's dated in the past, they kind of look different from each other, and they're all beautiful in their own way. And so I have put like a firm boundary that anything that resembles a body shaming comment comes down. And some people were body shaming his current purported girlfriend. They weren't just body shaming Nicola, although she has gotten a lot of hate that I don't agree with. And I'm equal opportunity there. I don't believe in body shaming anybody. I don't think it's fair or right. I do talk about the adjacents, but like Angela, I don't typically use their names. In part because I'm not really looking to give them more traffic. And part of the reason I do sometimes share what's going on their pages is in an effort to keep the Lukola people on my page and not going to their pages and giving them traffic, giving them likes, giving them views. If we just have like one person reporting back to the group, I think that's better at times. And then the last thing is, like I said, and this is just a boundary for me, but it's not really a boundary so much about what I post, but it's something I try to like say over and over again. But I try to just tell people we should absolutely not be going to the celebrity or their adjacents pages and leaving hate. Like, if we want to have a little conversation in our corner of the internet, that's one thing, but putting it on their page is not acceptable in my opinion. And I mean, it's interesting because Luke even said, I'm going on a tangent here, I apologize, but Luke even said in one of his interviews, he got so much hate mail when Colin was like kind of behaving like a doofus last season. And it's like that's a character, you know, that it's different than who he is, right? Like, why would you send the actor hate mail? I don't understand. So that's a complicated explanation to some couple of simple tenets, but that's pretty much where I am at this point.
Thanks, Caroline. How about you, Heather?
Yeah, it's been a little bit of an interesting journey kind of going through this because it feels like it kind of started a little slow and then it hit like an inferno and it just got crazy. And then we were like in the pits of hell for a while. And it was like, you know, I love to have fun in my lives. Aside from my sister-in-law, who's probably still in here right now, I really don't have anybody to talk to about this stuff. And I enjoy it, and it's become a little bit of a break for me because I'm home for the summer and I have my 2 girls. And, you know, I had a whole conversation with my sister-in-law a couple weeks ago, and I like broke down in tears, and I was like, I forget what it means to be me, like to be Heather. You know what I mean? Like not a teacher, not a wife, not a mom, like me. And it was like, I found a little piece of that in this, right? And it was like, oh, I found something that I enjoy that's mine, right? And so in coming into the lives, like seeing the comments and just, I mean, if you've sat in my live, and Roni, you've been in them the last couple nights, it gets silly. It gets real silly. And we're usually just talking about the unhinged behavior between Luke and Nicola, right? And at the end of the day, the adjacents are real people too. And they are a part of his life. And they directly affect his life, which could directly affect her life potentially. And people want to know about it, right? And so it's been an interesting balance of trying to find like even what I'm okay with talking about and what I'm not okay with talking about. And I did a live because there are 2 girls who I consider like my ride or dies on this app. And we have a private group conversation and Instagram. And girls, if you're in here, Bree and Nicole, shout out to you guys because if I want to be petty, I usually get petty with them. And so, you know, we have like our little conversations, right? And, you know, I was talking with them and we had found some information out and found some pictures, and I was like, I'm going to do a live and I'm going to talk about it. And I got on live and there was like 700 people in this live. And when I tell you, I had no idea what I got myself into. And then Mia came in, and everyone's like, "Oh, Mia joined," and then Mia joined for a hot minute.
I was there.
And then people were coming. People were like, "Heather, are you okay? Heather, are you good? Heather, are you all right?" And I'm like, "What is happening?" And they're like, "The fan page posted about you." And I was like, "What?"
Oh, wait a minute. What fan page? I'm sorry. What fan page?
So it's a fan page for his girlfriend.
Okay.
And somebody who follows the fan page or who's in the page, or who's got like a Tumblr account with them, I don't know. They were in my live and they like paraphrased what I was saying about these pictures that we found and brought it to the fan page. And then the fan page posted it with my TikTok name. And I was like, this is getting crazy. Like, I'm a mom and I'm a teacher. Like, I can't, like, I don't, you know, this is too much. And I got nervous for a hot minute. And you might have noticed I changed my name a little bit. Like, I took the O's out and put zeros. And I actually shut down my account for the night because there are people that follow that fan account who believe what this person says, which is just crazy to me. And I was like, I don't want people. And then I came back and I addressed it and I unprivated my account. And I was like, listen, like going forward, like I'll have the conversations. If you ask me a question, if I know something and I can answer it, like without a doubt, I'll answer it. But I'm not like, I don't want it getting crazy like that again. Like that was, it put things in perspective for me a little bit. And then, you know, I just tried to make sure in my lives that I was just making it known, like, this is what my live is about. If you don't want to have that conversation and you want to have a different conversation, there are plenty of different creators out there that have what you want. And I say this all the time. If you don't like what I'm putting out, you don't have to be in my live. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And I, you know, I've said this about everyone. Caroline, I've only really talked to you like in your comment section, But please know, like, on days when I feel like things are crazy, I go and listen to your videos just to calm me, because there's something in your voice and the way that you give information that, like, when my mind is like going crazy, I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So, but and Roni, I've kind of conversated with you in my lives, but so I've had conversations with each of you. I've talked to other creators like Mia and Tiff and Claire and everybody, and I've only ever received kindness from people. So I just try to make it a point, like, there's somebody out there for everyone. And if that's what you like and that's what you want, then go to that person, right? And you're not going to hurt my feelings about it. But we don't have to have crazy conversations that just get out of hand, because that's not what I want, Like, I mean, I created 2 whole edits just over a live conversation that we had the other day, and that's the kind of stuff I want to do. I want to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to have fun with people who enjoy the same kind of stuff that I do. And I want people to feel like when they come into my live that they're in that safe space and it's not a toxic environment.
Yeah, I agree. I had seen a comment from someone that said that I would know about the fan page if I let people talk about the adjacents. And all I can say is I don't feel like I lost out for the fact that I didn't know that.
Yeah.
My life was not affected an eon. So I think I'm okay.
No, the fan page puts out a lot of nonsense. You're not missing anything.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. And honestly, like, I think someone told me about a fan account, and so I'm just proactive about it and just remove it from my space as soon as I can. Roni, I know that you haven't you've started doing videos, but have you been thinking a lot? I know you've had like the nerdy curious prior, but do you think that if you do get 1,000 followers, or when you do, like, is this something that you want to make content around, or do you think it can be something else, or what's your thoughts around,
You were cutting in and out a little bit, but
I'm sorry, what?
I kind of got the gist. You were cutting in and out a little bit. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, I think ultimately,
did you hear my question,
I did, yeah. I think ultimately what I want to do on the platform is hold space on how to navigate fandom for when it gets overwhelming, because inevitably the whole fandom is a cyclical thing. So as it goes kind of down, and it, like, after it fractures, it kind of repairs itself again, and it'll inevitably fracture again. That's just how it happens. And I want to say that I have gone to every single one of these ladies' lives before. And even if I haven't actively participated, I've just kind of watched to see what kind of space that they kind of create. And they all do a phenomenal job, because, and I want to give props to each and every single one of them for one specific thing that they've done. Angela, the Discord, absolutely genius, because, and that any kind of messiness, because we all have that tendency, don't even lie to yourself, we're all messy. We all like it. Don't deny it. Don't deny yourself. Just go to a safe space.
I know I am.
Girl, I'm right there with you.
Messy, not mean.
Yes, exactly. Messy, not mean. I have my tendencies as well. So as I say, I think the Discord is a genius way. And I was telling Phoebe previously that whenever anyone wants to talk about stuff like that could potentially live on the internet forever, don't do it as a post. Either do it on a live, do it behind a paywall, do it like Caroline is doing it on a friends list. Genius, absolutely genius. I didn't even consider that. And the Discord, because that not only protects you, that protects your community, because it's in its own little kind of home environment. And I have to say, with Heather specifically, I really love how she does tackle the topics of the adjacents, because I was kind of keeping away from that just because, similar to Phoebe, I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to deal with that kind of particular drama, because the main thing that really just gets on my nerves is the fact that more than half the time on social media, when anyone is talking about gossip, they're trying to sell it as an either or sort of thing, which, like, what in life is an either or ever? Like, there's so many shades of gray in there. So just talking in absolutes and talking about as if everything is fact without you knowing an individual is just, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. So I really love the way that Heather talks about the adjacents, because it's still like, it's kind of in a light way where it's not, you know, and she always does have that caveat in there where it's just like, we don't know if this is true. We're just kind of, you know, just kind of dancing around it and seeing how this impacts other things, because we all know they're there inevitably. And to pretend that they're not is not healthy either.
Right.
And ultimately, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so having some, like, at least a toe in reality is probably a good thing to also just self-protect while you're consuming and while you're creating. And so I think the fact that you ladies have created such amazing environments for your audiences is so much hard work, because I get where y'all are coming from, because I did it for so many years to try to hold space for people in like the nerd community and nerd culture and everything. And it's so difficult to do it while you're also trying to consume, because this is also about you guys finding joy. So trying to balance that out and also holding space for others, it is so much work, and I give you guys props. And so I think one of the other things that's going to be in like the next stages, which I'm really going to champion for, because we're seeing it already with some of the creators that have come before, like a Tiff and a Mia, is that I am always like a big proponent to, like, when you guys are spending so much time creating, there shouldn't be any negatory feelings if y'all end up like needing to at least get some sort of compensation, even if it's minimal. But like with Tiff creating her timeline, that's so much work. So like if people are spending like 20 plus hours on something, even if it's not your full-time job, you should still be rewarded for the work that you're putting in. So like the lives, like the way that TikTok works, luckily is very similar to Twitch, where you get, you know, even though it's minimal, but it's something. And I know ultimately it's not about that reward or anything, but it still helps, because it's just that little added bonus of having that your community really appreciates you. That's one way for them to show it. So yeah. So if you guys ever need any support, I will be there to bat.
Really appreciate that, Ronnie. And I mean, you're one of my favorite people that I've engaged with, and so, and like I've always said to you, I really love the way you think, because you're a deep thinker, and that's why I think I resonate with what you do and how you share things. And it's true for all of these ladies that I have great deep respect for. I do want to look at questions that people may have for folks. I'm not going to read everybody's question. I'm going to read questions that I think will be beneficial to the overall group. And so if any folks have any questions for Ronnie or Heather or Caroline or Angela, feel free to put it in the chat. I will read any that are, again, respectful and pertinent. So, and while folks are waiting to oh wait, hold on. Question. The Dragonfly MI said, question, do we all think August 27th will be the date?
They're talking about something from my live.
I keep
Okay.
seeing that
Well,
in your
then
live,
do you want
Heather, and I'm like, what exactly are we talking about?
That's how you know whose live that person goes to. It was a random thing I brought up in my live one day, and I said Luke is always giving stuff away. If it's not up on his face, it's his actual words. He just constantly gives out, and that's probably why Nicola did most of the talking during the tour. But I had just said if they were really dating in real life, I was like, and someone was like, "Oh, Luke, you know, now that you and Nick are together, you're going to get married." And he'd be like, "Yeah, of course we are on August 27th. And it was just a random thing. And I like randomly threw the day out, and I was like, "Oh, that was fun." I was like, "How about on August 27th, we all meet up and see what happens. We'll talk about the events of the day." So it's become a thing now. It is on my calendar, and I will be doing a live on August 27th at 8:27 Eastern Standard Time to discuss the events of the day. That's what that is.
That is wild. You didn't know this, Heather, but 8/27 has a lot of significance to me personally. It was my former best friend's birthday.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, and forever, I used to always see his birthday everywhere. 8/27, 8/27, and wherever I went, like that, I would look up at the time, and it would be 8/27. So when you said 8/27, I was like, oh, I wonder what that means.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
wait,
that's
when did Luke
interesting.
say that?
When did Luke say what? About them
The
getting
8/20
married? He never
Yeah.
said it. I said
Oh.
if him and Nick were like,
Oh.
if him and Nick ever start
Oh,
dating.
so he was just okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, missed that.
Yeah, I literally randomly just pulled the date out of nowhere, and then I was like, "Oh, that was weird. Let's check in on that day."
Now I know
Oh,
all
gotcha.
the Twitter astrologers keep pointing to, I think between today's date and the 12th, and they keep saying maybe the 10th there'll be something significant happening astrologically. So I've been
that's
keeping
tomorrow.
my eyes peeled. Yeah, I know. I've been keeping my eyes peeled to see if anything does happen. But the astrology has all been going in Lukola's direction, so I'm willing whatever will get them together is what I think is
The universe
right.
is loud.
You know, we have a tarot group in our Discord. But I think it would be cool to have an astrology group too for people who know a lot about that. I think I want to start that.
Love it. So someone said, Lauren F 999 says, does anyone know how many days we have left to watch for top 10? It's a little less than 5 weeks now. But we have, just a little less than 5 weeks to still do it. But it is fun, Heather, to have like little inside jokes with your people that attend the live.
Yeah. Anytime you see professional, that's from a live. That's been the conversation the last 2 days about how they're like professional, their professional behavior. And that's where the 2 edits came from, because we're like, every time they talk about something they do, they frame it around like I kissed him in a professional manner. Or and I'm like, the fact that you guys have to keep defining that it's professional is just telling everybody that it wasn't professional.
I mean, also, I feel like wouldn't it be a given that would be the anticipation? Well, maybe they know that people are
You
not
shouldn't
thinking
have
that
to
way.
justify.
Kim says Heather loves numbers. And Rena said Heather said August 27th, then later that day we got photos.
I wanted to say though about you guys' spaces that you created. Like, it seems to me that you guys all have a lot of information. You do your research, you know your stuff. And I feel like I'm just like commenting on the things that you guys are saying and other creators are saying. Like, my space is like, let's dish the tea of what everybody else is saying. As opposed to like anything original.
That's fun though. I've had a couple fun lives with you, Angela.
Yeah, I always have fun with you. I'm always having fun. That's my space. Like, we do the Champagne Fridays. I laughed for like 2 hours straight because I'm just constantly having a blast with this, guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
that
feel
and that's what I mean, honestly, I love the fact that many times people tell me how much fun or how funny it was, or you should have seen this live. It was like hilarious or whatever. I love hearing things like that. Uh, I'm not naturally funny. That's not my.
Yeah, you are.
I'm funny unintentionally. Those are the
Oh, Phoebes, you're
only thing
cutting out
else
again.
me weird. Or, uh, um, was the
Uh-oh.
day that I was on my twins' 40th birthday, and y'all were like, "Are you sure it's not?" Just because I was doing it today, like I could not for
Oh, that's
life of me.
right.
I had a green screen on me, and for some reason, then suddenly I was quicker. Then I was a circle, and I did not, and then I was a tiny little thing at the bottom of the screen, and I did not know how to fix it. And everybody was laughing. I was laughing. I was like, "What is happening? I don't even know." But I know that y'all are hilarious because I get notes all the time from folks saying, "Oh my word, I was at this person's and this person's, and they are so funny," which I love. And because it also lets me know like who to send folks to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Bridgerton Swan said, "Do any of you watch the tarot reads?" And it sounds like Caroline, you do. Do any other folks?
Yeah, I've seen more
watch
of
those?
the astrology stuff than the tarot, but I'm part of a
Okay.
WhatsApp group that it's funny. It's like I have gone so far down the rabbit hole at this point. I'm like at the bottom. But basically, I'm in like a secret Reddit group that led to a WhatsApp group shared within the secret Reddit group. So it's like multiple layers. But there is a couple of folks in that secret Reddit group or WhatsApp group who do the tarot readings and who do the astrology. The interesting thing, I mean, the tarot readings are always interesting to me, but their astrology lines up so well together. It's really, they even said it themselves on one of the interviews. It's really like a match my freak kind of situation where they complement each other so perfectly in their astrology. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I have a chart that complements my husband's like that, where we are such, like astrologically, such a good match. And I've always felt like, I mean, you know, we all have our struggles, I'm sure, with our spouses, but for the most part, I've always felt like we were so much complementing each other. We're very different, but we're a good team. And I think that's really important. Like, you know, when you find your person, that you can rely upon them and that you can be that, you know, unit and team working together and everything.
What are your signs, Caroline?
So I am the Virgoest Virgo who ever Virgoed. My birthday is in a couple of weeks. I'm asking the universe for a Lukola pairing. We'll see if I get it. And my husband is a Capricorn. And Virgo and Capricorn is like one of the best pairings on the zodiac that you can have. It's very, we're both earth signs. We're both very practical. We're both very fastidious and detail oriented and hardworking. And so, you know, it's funny because I think most other signs find Virgos pretty annoying. But the Capricorns appreciate our annoying features. Like, so I appreciate him for appreciating me being a little type A in some areas. And then it's funny because my son is a Pisces, which is a water sign. But I actually, so a family friend of mine is very deep into astrology, and she did all of our charts, including my son's. And once again, it's so complimentary. And actually, a lot of my best friends in my life are Pisces, because there's a really natural match there. Even though they're a water sign and I'm an earth sign, we really complement each other well. And so for us, it kind of all puzzle pieced, you know, together. And we were very fortunate that it's a good match and that we're a good unit.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm Pisces, so maybe that's why I gravitated to you as well, Caroline. But
yeah, you know, I mean, it's funny because I know Luke is an Aquarius, and I get along. I would say I get along with most people. Aquarians can go either way for me. you know. So but it also explains why I like Nicola so much, because she's a Capricorn. So, and I get that from her. Like, you can see with her work ethic and everything.
Yeah, for
Nicola
sure.
is such a Capricorn.
And I apologize. The like all the questions went away. It went back down to the bottom. So I'm gonna go with what I can see now. I don't know what this says. Okay. Mel says, how has y'all's life been since Lukola? Because I can barely function, but I don't mind it.
Sorry.
All I think about now.
So anyone who wants to answer that particular question.
Go ahead, ladies.
I'll go. Before Lukola, I had other interests. I played The Sims. I watched other shows like House of the Dragon and Abbott Elementary, which I've only watched one episode of it because I don't care anymore. I only care about this, and I only spend my time doing this. I tried last night. I told the Discord, I was like, guys, I'm gonna go to bed and catch up on House of the Dragon because my sister-in-law's harassing me. So I'm gonna go watch it. And then I went and I sat down and I just like dozed off and fell right to sleep because it doesn't hold my interest anymore as much as this dopamine hit that the Lukola content is giving me.
And the sad part is it's not even the show. It's just them as people. Like I said this in my live, probably the last 2 days, I've gotten more from the two of them on their press tour than I got from the season. And I loved the season, but I got so much from just the two of them that it has created brain rot. And it's like, my daughter came to me the other day and I had, Bridgerton playing in the background. And it was the scene where she takes the cloak off and she's about to walk down the stairs in the dress. And she's like, oh, mama, she looks pretty. And she had the cloak on. And I said, well, wait till you see her dress. And she takes it off. She goes, oh, that's so pretty. She's 5. She's like, oh, that's so pretty. Ma, can I dress as Penelope for Halloween? Can I have a Penelope dress? And I was like, this has gone too far. This has gone too far.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I would say I have an unhealthy obsession with it at this point. It's funny because I'm going on a bachelorette weekend, I think, tomorrow. And I'm going to be somewhere where there's not going to be a whole lot of reception service, possibly no Wi-Fi. So that's going to be, I think, a good cleansing period for me. But people may not hear from me this weekend. I'm alive and well. I'm just at a bachelorette weekend for my future sister-in-law. What I would say is, for me, I feel like as a parent, I think like I became a mom in 2022, and it was sort of the tail end of the pandemic. So I really couldn't take my son anywhere, and I was home a lot. And I just feel like whenever you become a parent already, I feel like a lot of your interests kind of go by the wayside. And then, like I said, I couldn't get out that much. And so for me, this has been actually like a really fun hobby and something to look forward to at the end of the day, because, I work all day. I come home, I make dinner for my family, clean up, and I, do bedtime with my son. And then I'm not a super night owl, but a little bit of one. So I'll kind of sit down like around 9 when my son is in bed, and I'll, go through the comments and stuff. Sometimes I get up in the morning and do it before I leave for work. But I'm really limited during the day because I work, during the week. So I've been trying to strike more of a balance and just put out content, like I said, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening. And then as I can, I try to respond to stuff during the day. But I will say, like, I definitely used to watch other shows on TV. I definitely used to have various interests, and this has taken over. And I will say too, it's finally put my butt in gear to start reading the books. So I have my weekly book club on Wednesdays. So that's been kind of nice actually too, because that's a little bit of a palate cleanser when I get to read the book and kind of compare and contrast a little.
Now, my internet went down for a little bit, so I don't know. Did Roni answer this question too, or?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay.
I just want to validate everyone again, because I think we're all in the same boat. That it's just the level of obsession. I have never experienced this in my life, and I've been covering this stuff since 2014. Like I said, I have never shipped real life people. That had always been a boundary line that I had set for myself, because I was like, I remember I used to tell myself that's wholly unhealthy. I used to secretly judge people that would do that. I can't now. Like, that's my entire existence, which is just like, I mean, I just ended up being a hypocrite. I fully own it, because like I never thought I would be in this position, but this is wholly not normal. Like, as I said, like, this is just, this is a phenomenon. I'm glad that we're all experiencing it together. And the fact that there's so many of us experiencing it all at once, it's clearly a real thing. Because we're not all blind. Like, it's impossible. Everyone is noticing this. Their own friends are noticing this. People close to them are noticing this. We're like, we can't all be wrong.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And so I think it's just the fascination of seeing, like, again, this beautiful, shiny, warm thing actually existing in real life in the craziness that is our reality, because it's absolutely insane. And we've all just kind of gravitated towards it, and rightly so, because we're just kind of hanging on for dear life at this point. So yeah, I don't know. But everyone like should feel validated that this is definitely a thing. This is you're warranted in feeling how you're feeling.
I will say, someone had asked, the question was from far away, but how we all can continue to stay on the ship while Luke is in a different relationship. And so I will answer this question for myself. I'm very much about endgame. And so to me, I've seen so many relationships come and go in people's lives. And so for me personally, it hasn't been hard because I respect the fact that that individual is in his life right now. And I would never root for any relationships to end. Like, obviously, that is a person that is important to him at this point, or whatever it is at this point. I don't know, because I don't choose to know because I only choose to know what Luke chooses to share on his Instagram. And to me, it tells a lot that there's nothing that he chooses to share. So I take that as my gauge of, like, I don't invade his private life. I don't try to look into any things that he's not trying to share himself. So because he chooses to not share anything about her actively on his page, and he has said that his page is a business page. However, he has chosen to share private things at times on that business page. So to me, if I need other people to tell me the story, then that tells me he wasn't trying to tell us the story.
Yep.
So to me, I respect his decisions. I respect him as a person. I respect the relationships he wants to have at this moment. But I also believe that they are endgame. And so I'm willing to, I guess, weather the rough waters. And if it turns out I'm wrong, and we're all wrong, and this individual is endgame, I will dock in my ship. Now, some folks are like, but relationships also don't last that way. I'm ready to dock my ship if this person's endgame for him, but I'm also ready to get on the ship if it turns out they thought they were docking, but they weren't docking for life. So that's where I'm at for that. Anyone else who might want to share of how you've decided to continue to believe despite that?
So I've said that this is a transatlantic cruise. We have to think of this as the world cruise. There might be times where we're going through the Drake Passage and things aren't going so hot. Ryan Wheeler is our captain. We know that, for those of us who follow him on Instagram. I consider myself the cruise director. Think of Love Boat. I'll be the activities director. You know, some of us are going to hang out at the bar. Some of us might get off and go to shore for a little while. But I don't think this is a short-term thing, because I think ultimately if Luke and Nick are together in some capacity now or in the future, I think it would be a long time before they share anything with us. Like I made a prediction on my page the other day. My coworker and I were talking about this situation, and I said to her, this is my prediction. She said, you need to go record a TikTok when you get home and put it on your page, because when this happens, you need to share it. So my prediction is that in a year's time, or maybe even a little longer, we're going to turn on like the BAFTAs or something like that, an awards show where both of them are there. And either she's going to be presenting or possibly like receiving an award. And she's going to show up like 7 months pregnant and thank her like on and off screen partner. Something like that is going to happen. Because I don't think we're even going to know that the dating is happening. That's what I'm saying. I feel like they're just going to, when we talk about a hard launch, it's going to be like a whoa, what just happened? Okay. That's what I'm predicting, because I think maybe we might get some Easter eggs from them. I think maybe they might share some songs and their stories and stuff. But Nicola is so private. I just don't see it being like all over her page or all over the internet. And I think it's almost going to be something that it's like, oh, you know, I'm like 7 months pregnant. I guess I should maybe address this kind of thing. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. I understand you're all laughing because I realize I'm like deep into the here saying
I'm laughing
God's
because
ears, Caroline.
it's so beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, Caroline said this to me earlier in my afternoon live, and I almost lost my mind. And I promise you, from the time she said that, I have not stopped thinking of because I'm like, yes. And I'm like, manifest, everybody, light a candle. This is what we need to have.
And I just feel like the more we put these positive vibes into the world, the more likely, well, I don't know, it's probably not more likely to happen, but I'm telling myself it is. And I really think the main sticking point for me is whether she chooses to hyphenate or not. But
Oh my God, you're killing me.
she's probably like writing it out in her journal as we speak with little hearts above the eyes.
You know, I have a similar love story to Caroline. She shared some of her love story with me today. My husband and I were in high school together. We were friends. We were in the same friend group. We share a best friend. Like my best friend from elementary is his best friend from high school. So we share her. And so that was our story for many years. It's just like we're all friends. We're in the friend group until, you know, we started hanging out more. And then it would be like, oh, do you want to go with me to this place? And it would just be me and him. And you know what I mean? And so then things started to progress to, I wouldn't even call it a relationship. It was just we were hanging out, just us. And then things started to get a little more serious, but we never like put a label on it. And we would actually date other people, but then we always had this like thing going on, you know what I mean? Like on the side. And it took years before we officially were like, okay, we're a couple, you know, like many, many years. Yeah. Like all of college and like years afterwards. So we didn't actually end up getting married till we were almost 30 years old. After starting our friendship at 15, 14. Mm-hmm. So I say that to say that that's why I stay on the ship, because I've lived it. You know what I mean? The friends to lover story, just like you. Seeing, obviously there are feelings there. Everybody knew we liked each other, yet we weren't really ready to make that move together. And so I think that's what we're looking at with Luke and Nick. And that's why I choose to just stay on the ship. I'm not going anywhere. And I think if this other person was like maybe a little older, or like he brought her out more or anything like that, I would feel differently. But the way things are now, I'm on the ship,
Yeah.
firmly planted.
I'm with you there, Angela. And I think, like, I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, I think what keeps me on the ship is we had a whole press tour that lasted for 6 months where not only did we see them interact, but we heard them talk about experiences that they had while they were filming. And, you know, what we saw and the reason why people are shipping them so hard is because of what we saw over the press tour. And something to remember is he was dating somebody during this press tour, and we still saw that. We still got that from the two of them. So, I mean, I'm not saying like there's like cheating or anything going on like that, but what I am saying is eyes don't lie. And I don't, I've said this time and time and time again. I'm sorry, but PR doesn't go that far.
No.
And you can't fake what we saw. Maybe in 1 or 2 interviews, but not hundreds of interviews over 6 months in time. There's genuine love and care and affection between the two of them. And I have seen...
And they say as much.
Right. And I have seen the way he looks at her, and I've seen the way he looks at the other one, and it's just not the same. And I think that's where I sort of go, okay, there's something different here, right? Yeah, they're just being professional. And, you know, to your point that you had made before, Phoebe, you know, that he won't post on his, you know, if he doesn't post it on his page, then whatever. But I even take it the next step farther, like, because I know he said that he wants to keep his page more to work. My whole thing is, then wouldn't she post it? Like, there's nobody posting them. It's not out there. The only pictures that we're getting is a paparazzi photo or a fan that just happened to catch them on this private secluded beach. And so it's just like you see stuff like that and then you go, okay, well, you know, that tells me something too. Do you know what I mean? The reason that it being so hush hush, and I've had people say to me, well, maybe it's because he doesn't want her to get hate. And I'm like, she's already getting it.
Yeah.
There's so many opinions out there about her and him and their relationship that at this point it would almost quelch it, I feel like, to address it.
Right.
So I don't know. I know I saw what I saw. And like the rest of you have said, I have never in my life, I'm 39 years old, I have never in my life shipped two people. Never. My niece taught me what shipping meant like a few years ago. Like, this is not something I've ever done, but there's something dynamic about the two of them that just sucks you in. And it just gives you a piece to see the two of them interact with each other.
Roni?
Yeah, I mean, something about it too, like, I've seen people get shipped like this before in real life. And my only experience of it was when my husband and I were best friends. We had people actively shipping us, trying to get us together for years. Our Italian teacher used to seat us out of alphabetical order on the bus so that we could sit next to each other. And then we had these Italian club field trips where she would like put everyone in an Italian club at one table and then set up a sweetheart table for us until the restaurant put candles out.
Wow.
The custodial staff was shipping us. Our friends were shipping us at one point. Our friends got sick of us. Let me tell you something. Like, there's one person on Tumblr who refers to this as a Waffle House because it's getting messy. Our friends had exited the Waffle House. Our friends had given up on us. By the time we got together, people were shocked because it had been like a year and a half. And when I see the chemistry that they have, it was exactly like we used to tell ourselves, oh, we're just really good friends. We're just really good friends. But he was always touching me. Like he was always finding an excuse to like watch a scary movie so that he could hold me as a friend, which is not what friends do.
Right?
Right. You know, just finding reasons just to be on our own and just to be doing things and just to be
sounds like Colin.
in each other's personal space and touching each other. And I say all of that to say that I actually dated someone else in that time period. My husband kind of pursued someone in that 18-month time period. You know, each of us tried to start the relationship like multiple times, and the other one would turn them down because we were afraid of what it would do to the friend group. We were afraid of what it would do to the friendship. And when the opportunity finally presented itself, it probably wasn't actually the most opportune time for it to happen. But we were like, you know what, if we don't do this now, it's never happening, basically. And we finally got together. And it wasn't the most popular decision at the time, if I'm being honest with you. But we had people, like, when I tell you, multiple adults in our life, other like, you know, friends. I would go to things and people would be asking me about my boyfriend. And I'm like, what boyfriend? And they're like, you know, your husband. And I was like, well, I'm not going to say his name on here. I try to give him a little anonymity, but, you know, and I was like, oh, we're just friends. We're just friends who like to be in each other's personal space and touch each other all day long and send each other messages. We used to write the little triangular notes because this is like pre-text messaging, right? Like we just write each other notes all day long and pass them in the hallway and like hang out alone all the time. Like, what are you talking about, boyfriend? No, he's not my boyfriend.
So you're Luke and Nick is what you're saying.
Yeah, clearly.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and I think like, and I have to say, I feel like both of us tried so many times to start the relationship. I mean, I think with guys, they always lead with the physical part, am I right?
Yes.
But for me, I think we both tried to have the conversation so many times and we were both like, oh my gosh, like we work together. We share common friends. Like we're best friends. Like, is this even a smart idea to even be doing this? And also we were very young. So that puts us in a little bit of a different category than them. But what I will say is like, ultimately when we did get together, boom, it was immediately serious. And so that's why, like, I know I was joking, but not joking, but I'm making a prediction earlier. But I say that all to say that I think when they do get together, because I do think they're endgame, I think it's going to get serious quick because it's not like they need to really go through like the getting to know you stages, right? They know each other inside and out. They've been on the road traveling for 6 months and they didn't kill each other. So that's a pretty good sign. You know, and I think they probably know a lot of what the other person wants and likes and needs in a relationship. Like they seem to take care of each other well in that respect. And very, you know, as we said, lots of professional kissing. They already know what the other person likes professionally.
We all saw
We know that
clip.
he likes creamy. We know he likes to eat creamy cakes, and she likes
Creamy
cakes. And long.
We
and
know
long
that they have to be told to calm down when they're when they're filming scenes with each other. I mean, come on.
Right.
They broke a
Right.
damn settee within 20 seconds. Like that, you were going too hard to break that within 20 seconds.
And then they
That's
like snuggled
okay. And can we
after.
talk about? Hold on. Can we talk about the behind the scenes of the carriage that was soundproof and didn't have windows in it?
The
poor
lies,
camera
the
woman.
lies, the lies.
Like, did they think it was soundproof because they were just so lost in the moment filming that they didn't realize that there weren't windows?
Well,
in it?
wait, did you see my post earlier? He did an interview and he said we were locked in the carriage together. It was just the two of us. There were no cameras and it felt very intimate and it felt very real. You have to go back and look. Like I'm telling you, this man straight gives his damn self away every time.
Well, there was also an interview
Yeah,
where
he's a terrible liar.
There was also an interview where they called him out, and he was like, "Oh yeah, she couldn't hear them calling cut.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
You
I've
could
never
hear them
doubted
calling
he
cut, but
heard
she
it.
couldn't." And by the way, like he was on top of her, so it's not exactly like she could like just stop the scene out of nowhere.
I've said this before too. The guys that were shaking that carriage were the true MVPs because those guys were shaking that carriage, and if the director yelled cut, then those guys would have stopped. And he said they could see inside because he was like, just don't make eye contact because it would be really weird. They were probably like, nah, they're enjoying this too much. Let's just keep shaking the carriage.
They were
making their own
Disney needs
movements.
shake.
Kidding?
Yeah, they didn't need the shaking. They were making their own.
They were enjoying it too much. They got the live show.
They did.
I saw the picture.
Wait, did you guys see?
Oh, go ahead, Angela.
I was just gonna say, did you guys see the clip of that with the sound taken out? How he said, "This is what I want" when he grabbed her chest.
Yeah.
I didn't
That
see
was
that one
not
yet.
acting. That was not acting. I'm sorry.
I did see a picture of Luke, sitting in the carriage by himself, but he had like this goofy smile on his face. And did y'all see that picture?
That was a different one.
Before and after.
That was a different carriage. The one of him in the carriage by himself is when he goes to the ball with Eloise because his hand is wrapped. So that's a different carriage.
Look at
I
you!
just saw
I'm
the
telling you,
before and
everybody's
after.
always so observant.
I just saw the before and after picture one today, and I was dying again. I was laughing so hard looking at that because the before, I mean, they did a beautiful job with his hair and everything. He looks very handsome and maybe a little nervous. The after, his mind was blown.
Yeah.
Mind was like in another plane of existence. His hair was all messed up. I was like,
The blood left his head.
Yeah.
it was gone. It was gone.
That poor man.
Just real quick, I just wanted to check in. But Ronnie, did you have anything that you wanted to share in regards to all this?
Oh no, I mean I agree with everything everyone was saying. I mean I think I'm on the ship, the boat, the vessel, whatever we want to call it. Just long game. But I do base it on just everything that's being shared in a kind of concrete, factual way. My own personal, I've never talked about it with the whole like adjacent thing, and I'm gonna keep it brief because I just don't want to take up too much time on it. But my opinion is that it's just casual because it would have been stated otherwise and he would have said it. So regardless on how long it lasts, it is what it is right now. But ultimately it doesn't hold the fascination that clearly that we're seeing with Nick. So I'm just kind of holding on to that and just waiting it out. Like Caroline says, we just wait it out.
And I will say this too, Ronnie, and as you were sharing this, when a man really loves a woman, they would never leave any doubt
Yep.
at all about what that woman means to them.
Yep. Yep.
The lack of clarity
It's really easy.
is actually quite clear.
Yeah.
Like the silence speaks for itself.
Yeah.
For me at least, because if I ever heard people make it seem like, because when people say it's an act of protection, the biggest act of protection I could foresee for him is like saying, like, this person actually means a lot to me.
Right,
It's hurtful
absolutely.
to hear you speak about her in a way that diminishes her
Yep.
importance and diminishes her and her importance in my life.
Yep.
Now, does he need to do that? No. Are we entitled to that? No. But with that said, the lack of it being said, people will go, she must not be that important.
Right.
Because he doesn't ever mention her, doesn't ever acknowledge her. And so it is true that if he did acknowledge her, he did talk about her in loving terms, he did help people see how important she is to him. I think that, yeah, there were people that maybe were taken off guard when it first happened. But I think at the end of the day, people would respect a relationship that seems to be like legitimately important to Luke.
Right. I mean, the majority of the fandom is grown as well. So like we would accept whatever, you know, he decided to do. But it's also like really, really common in the industry for that to happen with social media being what it is now, for people to come forward and just say, hey, can you guys lay off? This is someone that really is important to me, whether it's a friend or otherwise. I mean, there's drama going on right now with another movie that's premiering, and someone just had to do the same thing to defend one of their girlfriends. It was just like, hey, I said something to just straighten it out. So this is a common thing. And if it actually meant something, it could easily be done with a sentence or two. So I think
it's almost, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to say it's almost like when Nick defended him when people were kind of bashing him.
Exactly.
And she went in her story and just said a short little blurb.
Yep.
To show her support of how she feels about this man.
Yep.
If he had any real feelings for this woman, why isn't he standing up for her? That's like a baffling question to me.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't you stand up for her when you see she's getting all this hate?
Right.
And then I just want to say two things, because I saw Dark to Happiness put up in the comments. It was farther up now. They said, wouldn't the same apply to Nick then? Like, in him commenting towards her. Here's what I'd say to that. I don't know that Luke is a man of many words. I think we've seen him fumble over his words quite a bit. I don't think his love language, meaning what he gives out, is words of affirmation. I don't think that's the way he shows love. I think the way he shows love comes in a different way. And I think that's what we saw from him on the tour. So where he may not have used a lot of words to communicate his love for Nicola, we definitely saw it. You saw it in the way he looked at her. You saw it in the way he positioned his body constantly near her. You see it in the way that he knows that she loves to take pictures. So he went and invested in this beautiful vintage camera for her birthday. You know, I don't think we can get so hung up on the words of it. But yeah, and someone just said, actions speak louder than words. His actions, to me, have shown more of how he feels about Nicola.
Right.
And his actions right now concerning this other person are also showing me potentially what he may feel about this other person. Again, we're not in these people's lives, so we don't know. But the other thing that I just wanted to say really quick is I'm a firm believer that people are in your life for a reason and a season.
Yep.
And whether this girl is endgame or not, she's meant to be in his life for whatever reason that may be. And, you know, we don't really need to know the particulars of that. We don't need to know the specifics on that. What we do need to take from that is she's there for a reason.
Yep.
And maybe it's because he's lonely, or maybe it's a lesson that he needs to learn, or maybe, I don't know. But the point is she's there for a reason. And you know, we don't like it necessarily because we want him to be with Nicola because we see the way the two of them interact. But that also goes back to the right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person. And if you try to force it too soon, you're going to fracture that and you're going to break it. And then it's never going to work. Yep. So I'm almost okay with the slow game.
Yep.
I'm okay with what's happening, as long as we don't get any engagements or anything like that, then I might lose my mind. I don't think that'll happen.
I can only imagine what will happen.
Oh
if
man,
that happens.
Yeah, I mean, for me, For me, I agree with everything you just said, Heather. I think you're on the money in terms of the fact that people come into our lives for a reason. But I also think, so the main reason I think I find myself talking about the adjacents has to do with some of the behaviors. And I actually think in some way, as much as he's not an internet person, I do think his ear is to the ground. Because as we have talked about some of these things on our pages, we've seen him start to set some boundaries with the people around him, which I think is healthy, right? And that's a learning curve for him because he's never been at this level of fame before. So I think this was all new to him. But the other piece of things, and this is really the only reason in my mind, not the only reason, but the main reason I have issues with the adjacents is the sharing of his location in real time.
Agreed.
And I say that from the perspective, like, I cringed a little the other day because when he went on his most recent holiday, you could see after the pap pictures came out, and I firmly believe, by the way, because she called herself a paparazzi in the comments, that person who took those. So I firmly believe she was tipped off by one of the adjacents. They're the only ones who benefited from this. It was not beneficial to Luke to have these pictures come out. But the second piece is he all of a sudden had people coming up to him like on the beach trying to take pictures with him. And knowing that he's described himself as an introvert, knowing that he's the type of person who likes to have some anonymity and be able to like go to the coffee shop and get his coffee and not be bothered, I cringed a little seeing all those pictures because quite a few pictures of him came out with fans at the beach. And I think this is a learning lesson for him from the perspective of like, when you surround yourself with people, are these people going to be respectful of your privacy in so much as they're not going to share your exact location? I'm not talking about town. I'm not talking about country. I'm talking about literally sharing pictures of architecture where it's very clear what hotel he was staying in and almost what floor he was on, right? That's so, like, that's dangerous if you're just a normal person like you, me, or anybody else. But if you're a celebrity, and you aren't traveling with like a full staff of bodyguards, that's frightening. I mean, look at like what was happening at the Taylor Swift concert tonight, right? Where they had to cancel it. People are a little unhinged right now, you know? And so to me, I think part of the reason that he might be going through all of this summer is to learn about how people around him are going to react to his newfound fame. And what I find is when you have big changes in your life, like when good things happen, some people view those good things as a good opportunity for you, and some of them view it as a good opportunity for themselves. And so, you know, he's going to have to ask himself like some hard questions as the coming weeks and months come up about like, well, what does he want his private life to look like? And if he really, for the most part, values his privacy, having people who are broadcasting your location in real time to that degree is not going to allow him that kind of peace, right? And so I actually do think it's important for him to understand maybe why Nicola is as private as she is, and maybe why, you know, if she was the one who put the brakes on things again, which is what's being speculated at this point, part of the reason she might have done that is coming off of a worldwide press tour when all eyes are on you. If you want to have that privacy honored, it's going to be a really hard time to be dating someone who's also in the public eye, right? But as we get further removed, people are going to lose interest. They're going to find other things, except for us. We're all on the ship, I know. But most most well-adjusted people will move on. We're going to be on the ship. I'm the cruise director. I'm the cruise director. We know this. But what I'm going to say is that, like, it'll be easier for them if they do actually want to pursue a relationship when they're not the leads of the season, and when some of this dies down a little, and they can return to a level of anonymity that if they wanted to go out to a pub together, maybe they wouldn't be packed. Or if they wanted to go to a supermarket together, you know, like normal couple things that normal people get to do, right?
I don't see that happening for a while though.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like months,
It's because
many
of
months.
how, especially with how quick Nick's star is rising as well. I think at some point when they do end up getting together, and I'm saying it like it's a when they do
It's
end up
happening.
getting together, they'll have to navigate it similar to Tom and Zendaya.
For sure. But
Right.
I also think, like, if you look at Kate Middleton and Prince William, who live over there, people talk about seeing them out in pubs and other places, like, not so much recently because she hasn't been feeling well, but like, people talk about how
When
she
they
would
were
go to the
younger.
supermarket there, or and she was only papped a handful of times doing those things. Now, I do think it's a different world in the world of some of the gossip sites where they take like submissions from random people. But I also think, like, depending on the community you live in and the way that you do things logistically, there are lots of celebrities who live like perfectly normal lives. For example, Paul Rudd, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but
Yeah.
he just ran for New Jersey council and won a seat on his council.
Yeah.
He shows up to a city council meeting every week and nobody bothers him. You know, there are ways you can live a relatively anonymous life as a celebrity. It's
Right.
just about learning the logistics, and some of it is making mistakes and learning from them, right?
Right. I mean, I live in LA. I've told you guys this so many times. Well, I live outside of LA now, but I grew up in LA. So it was commonplace to just be at the coffee shop or at the market or somewhere and just see a celebrity. You know, they just have to live their lives. So, like you said, they'll get to a place where they can just go to the store and nobody will bat an eye, you know?
And I'll stand by this too. I'm sorry, Angela.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Go ahead, finish.
I was going to change the subject a little because I have to go soon and I wanted to ask everybody a question. So you go ahead and say what you need to say.
I was just going to say, what's interesting too is it's not like we're seeing paparazzi catching like him going out for coffee or like him out and about at the grocery store. Really, the only time we ever get photos of him are when he's with her, which is pretty interesting and kind of telling to me anyways, but that's what I was going to say.
Yep.
All right. Well, I have to pick up my daughter from ballet in like a few minutes, but I wanted to pose a question to everyone. What would it take for you to leave the ship? Like, what would have to happen for you to say, all right, I'm out?
I'll answer that real quick because I know my answer to that. It really is if he gets married. That's
Like down the aisle.
And I mean, because you can't help but respect that relationship once people get married. If the marriage doesn't work out, then I'm probably back on the ship. But if the marriage, if he gets married and it's like till death do them part, that's, you just got to respect it at that point. For me.
Mine would be Nick. If Nick were to just tell everyone, if she just got to like her wit's end and she was finally like just puts her foot down and is just like, hey guys, can we rein it in or can we stop? Then I'd have to stop. But I would leave it up to her.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a hard one. Like, I feel like, I don't know if it would take me off the ship, but I feel like if he started posting her and like bringing her to events, I might do like an island excursion and hop off for a short time and then hop back on. But I think to like fully remove me, it would be if either one of them ended up in a fully committed relationship.
Back to the cruise ship analogy. If we run out of pina coladas, I might have to get off the boat for a little while, but I think I'm pretty much on the ship for good at this point. But seriously, yeah, if one of them got married or something, I think that would be a pretty solid sign, right? But the reality is a lot of relationships, the majority of relationships people are in are very temporary.
Right.
And when we think about this one, yes, they're coming up on possibly a year in September or October, but remember he was gone for 6 months of that.
Yep.
So, you know, and while he was gone, his heart was very much somewhere else. And so, you know, I feel like, at least for me, I don't think this relationship is going to rock me off the cruise ship. I'm going to be leading the conga line. So,
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you, Caroline, that this relationship, the way it is now, is not removing me from the ship at all.
Yeah.
I think, I want to say I'm like firmly planted, and I don't think I'll ever truly leave the ship, even through marriages, because my motto that I say in all my life, the both of them, and their multiple marriages, Luke marriage, Nicola marriage. But I have this motto that I say all the time. I say, we see what we see, right? Like, we can't deny what we see. That is love. So as long as that happened, I'm on the ship, even though it's in the past. I think it's going to continue. I don't ever see them breaking up. But I did say to you earlier, Caroline, that when press starts for season 4, I think we'll see kind of where we are as far as like seeing what we see. But I don't see myself leaving the ship ever. But things do change.
I know, Angela, you need to get your child from ballet. So my thing is, because I was going to ask this for all the content creators here, is there any final words that you want to share? Because since you're going sooner than everybody else, is there anything you want to tell people or encourage folks to come and follow you if they're not already following you?
I guess,
get on the Discord.
You know, like I said, my following is small. I only have like 1,600 followers or something like that, and a month ago I had like 200.
Nice.
I think the bottom line of what space I have created is I just like to be silly. I'm ultra ridiculous. I just say random things. If you want to just have fun, that's my page. You know, we're having fun. We're making jokes. I don't take myself seriously at all. So even when people are saying like nasty things in my comments, I'm like, you know, cracking up. I don't take anything seriously. So that's it. I have the Discord. The link is in my bio, and I do Champagne Fridays every other Friday, where we just do like Bridgerton. It's more Bridgerton, not Lukola. It's like we do Bridgerton trivia and stuff like that.
Love it. Thanks, Angela. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for doing this. It was great. And everybody have fun for the rest of it, but I really do have to run. So I had a good time. Bye, everybody. Thanks for all the gifts, guys. Bye. Bye.
So, I mean, we have about 12 minutes left before we're going to close it up. But are there any things that y'all want to make sure that we talk about before we head off at some point here? Is there any specific topic at all y'all had percolating?
not
Somebody said the potential J-Lo movie. Is it possible that now that both Nicola and Luke are following J-Lo, and there's that book, what is it called again? Happy
Place.
Place. Is it a possibility that it's going to be a movie that they'll do a romantic comedy? I mean, is it a romantic comedy?
It's actually going to be a series. It's not a movie. It's going to be a series on Netflix.
Oh, thank you for the fact checking there, Roni.
Anything's possible.
I think it's possible, but I will say this. Nicola has a lot of commitments in the next few years. And although she is phenomenal and films multiple things at once and, you know, flies over buildings in a single bound, I think it would be a big commitment for her because that's supposed to start filming around the same time as her feature film that's coming up. Not The Magic Faraway Tree. It's another film that she's in that's a little more hard hitting. With that being said, if that was going to happen, my guess would be that Nick was in talks with J-Lo's production company and suggested him. That was what I was kind of thinking.
Yeah.
He hasn't had the best luck, I think, with some of his auditions, because one of the ones he was up for on Netflix went to somebody else. He was up for another romantic comedy. She's going to be in a film. It's about a mom who it has to do with like refugees and things. I have to look it up. I don't remember, but it's going to be pretty hard hitting.
Love and War.
Well, Love and War. There you go.
Her daughter is taken.
Her daughter is taken. Okay. Yeah. And so that's going to be more of a hard hitting like drama that she's going to be in. But I think it would be fabulous if they did it. The only thing that gives me pause with it, as much as I'm sending it out into the universe because I would love it, right? Only thing that gives me pause is it seems like he wants edgier roles.
Right.
And, I'm not sure if it would fit so much with what his objectives are right now. But if they could work together again, I think it would be great. So.
They may decide that it would be a good, almost palate cleanser, for lack of a better term, for him, kind of like a restart, if they can make it work. But yeah, I agree with you, Caroline. I think she's got a lot going on. I think that Love and War is probably going to be Oscar bait too.
Sure.
Here's a question that it's a Delulu question. I'm prefacing that. This is the perfect Delulu question from Flower with Stars. Is what are you wearing to the Lukola wedding?
I assume my bridesmaid dress.
Oh, so you're the part of the bridal?
Actually, I'm pretty sure Tiff will be wearing her bridesmaid dress.
Tiff will be the officiant.
Tiff will be the officiant. As I'm the activities director, I assume that I'm going to be maybe like the DJ or something. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens, but I'm sure I can find something, maybe a cocktail dress. Depends on the formality,
I'm just going to wear a shirt that says Ultimate Professionals.
That's too funny.
Getting professionally married.
She did say that she was getting married for the first time.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
She also had a bachelorette party before they filmed the wedding.
Insane.
Yeah.
Because that's what professionals do.
Yeah.
How about you, Ronnie? What would you wear?
Oh no, I was just gonna say that they're gonna just have like the largest wedding party like ever. There'll be like half the world is just like counting down the days for it. But yeah, I mean,
what if they elope or have a secret wedding, just like some folks do?
I love it.
Yeah, like more power to them. Like, yeah,
I hope they elope actually, because they're both introverts.
Yeah, yeah.
I said the same thing. I said, you know what? If the two of them, if I ever just found out that the two of them were together, like they were like happily together, I was like, I don't even need to see pictures of them. Just knowing that the two of them are together. I'd love a picture now and then, but just knowing that they were together, I'd be like, okay.
I would want to see Nicola's bridal fashion. I have to be honest with you, because I feel like I've enjoyed all her looks throughout the tour, and I would be really interested to see what she chooses for herself.
Well, she's such a fashion girly too, so that would be like all the magazines would be clamoring for that, for an opportunity to dress her. All the designers too.
Sure,
makes sense. Okay, so we have a little. We have about 6 minutes left. So this is the portion where I was going to ask what I asked for Angela. Really, it's just like your final words of what you want to share with the audience that we have right now about your page, or not, it doesn't even have to be about your page or your account, but whatever final words that you want to share. So Heather, why don't we start with you?
I mean, just live in the moment and take it for what it's worth and just have fun, right? Like, I mean, don't get so uptight about it that it's like affecting your day. And, you know, it's just the whole thing. Like, somebody messaged me earlier today, and they said, I'm new to TikTok and I've been in your life the last couple of days, and I just want you to know that it makes me laugh and it makes me really happy. And I was like, that's all I want. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I came here because I could have conversations with like-minded people. And at the end of the day, that's just what I want to do. You know what I mean? And that's what I want people to take out of my lives. That they're just having fun, you know? And I hope you like my edits. I work really hard on them. So but you know, at the end of the day, it's just enjoy it. And hopefully, thank you, Kels. Hopefully, you know, they end up together in the end. And this was all for naught.
Yeah. How about you, Ronnie?
I was gonna say it's never going to be like for naught. There's always something, because you've made a community, you've made connections with people. Like this is meaningful, regardless on what happens. Like, you guys, I'm sure some of you can say that you've made pretty good friends where, you know, potentially could meet folks that you've talked to online. So it's a lot more meaningful than a lot of people give it credit for, doing these types of things. And I mean, I just want to say, similar to what I've said before, which is just try out, go into all the different doors that are available to you with all these different content creators. Find out where you fit, find out where you feel your best self, find where you connect with that community, and you can be in multiple doors. You don't have to pick just one, but just make sure that it brings you joy and that and you feel safe in that environment. And, you know, if anything starts feeling uncomfortable, then just exit. And find something else. So yeah, just keep it flexible, keep it light. There's enough issues going on in our day to day. This is supposed to be an escape, and just keep it that way, just for your own mental health and for the mental health of the creators that you're visiting.
Thanks, Ronnie. Caroline?
Well, first of all, thank you, Phoebe, for inviting me to this. That was very nice of you. And thank you to everyone who's been sending gifts this whole time, especially like that little corgi butt wiggle that was happening earlier. That's so cute. And I appreciate all the gifts and everything. You know, I think all I want to just remind people of is that human beings are messy by nature. We just have no other way of being. I can be messy now. I think as I've gotten older, I'm getting a little better with age. But when I think back to my teens and my 20s, I made some really questionable decisions. And I'm just so grateful that social media was not what it is now. And I don't have to live with those choices like every day, right? And so I always try to like lead with grace and understand that sometimes we have to go through the school of hard knocks to learn things, right? And it can be really painful watching that happen to someone in real time. It can also be really frustrating when we can see something so clearly. Like, you know, one of my coworkers, when I was talking to them about this, they were like, well, how do you know that they're in love with each other? And I was like, I have eyes. Like, that's how I know. I have eyes and I can see. But the reality is, it can be so painful when other people's timelines are not matching up with what makes sense to us. But truly, I'm a believer that there's usually a greater plan at work. And I think in part, the reason that it hasn't happened for them yet is that it is going to be immediately serious.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I think that they need to be better positioned where they're not going to be under such a microscope, where maybe their schedules are meshing a little better than they were this summer, for example, and where they're both ready to take that kind of leap together. Because I truly do think, like, when it happens, it's going to be serious fast. And they have to be ready for that. Right. And so as much as we would like that to happen sooner, and we want to see all the tiny little squishy babies that they're going to have, because I haven't holding the faith about that. You know, those babies have to come in their time and not in ours. And I guess the only other thing I want to mention is if any of you are interested in coming along with me on our book club journey, we meet on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We're currently reading The Duke and I. I think next week, I have to double check what I ended up saying we were going to be reading, but I think we're on chapters like 4 to 5 or something. So I'll double check on that. But anyway, would love to see you guys there. Feel free to, if you want to be part of my friends group to see my friends only videos, please just DM me, because when you leave it in the comments, like sometimes comments just kind of like, I don't mean for them to fall by the wayside, but like if I'm off the app for a few hours, I'll come back to like hundreds of comments and it kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So the DMs are easier for me to answer one at a time. And I hope to see you all around here, and definitely want to follow some of these other creators and just be able to enjoy this. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I mean, I really appreciate all of you. And I totally understand what you're saying, Caroline, about comments. Like I always tell people DM, because I mean, sometimes I still lose it in DMs simply because sometimes I check it and then I mean to respond, but then I forget to respond, and then I can't leave it unread again. So then I'm like blasted. So sometimes I have to have people like bump it up as much as possible. But yes, comments get lost so much. It can really easily. But I just wanted to let folks know, yes, for those that are like, is this going to be on YouTube? Yes, it will be. Assuming that I'm pretty sure all of them have already said yes at different points about having them being on there. So that is still correct, right? Like, because some folks are really like, I really want to be there, but they can't be because they're either going on trips, or obviously the timing for other people around the world. They're sleeping, rightfully so. Hopefully they had a good rest. But thank you, everyone, again. Thank you for making time for this. And just really appreciate y'all's. And thank you, everybody, also for supporting them, giving them gifts, following them if you're not already. Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good night, y'all. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.